please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
While shifting focus to the political fallout of the Facebook data breach, now India's top two political parties are in the midst of the data slugfest. The BJP's Amit Malviya has admitted to CNBC TV18 that they did share user data of Namo app with an Indian company based in the United States. However, he also clarified that the BJP is funding the Namo app and not the Prime Minister's office. Let's listen in.
Prime Minister's app is managed by the Bharatiya Janata Party. So it is not managed by the government of India. Okay. We have said that we give no data to any third-party analytics company. However, we do use analytics tool, and that analytics tool only studies the usage and the sections visited on Prime Minister's app so that more relevant and contextual data can be presented to the person. The third party that you use is an Indian startup which operates out of Mumbai but is registered in California.
Okay, meanwhile, a series of tweets from Rahul Gandhi accused the Prime Minister of, quote-unquote, giving away the data of those who downloaded the app to what he called are the Prime Minister's friends in American companies. The BJP was quick to respond, with Textile Minister Smriti Irani hitting back at Rahul Gandhi, referring to him as Chhota Bheem, a popular cartoon character. She defended that the app only asks for information that is commonly asked on other apps. She went on to say that this is not tantamount to snooping. Here's an interesting twist. Just hours after Rahul Gandhi's tweets, the Congress party took down its own app from Google Play Store. This after the same online hacker who targeted the BJP accused the Congress of sending personal data to Singapore. Congress has denied those charges. Here is the war of words.
मोदी जी कर रहे हैं निजता पर वार अब की बार डेटा लीक सरकार The Modi government has to realize that this data belongs to India, to Indian citizens, not to the government, not to the ruling party. And because they have this propensity to shoot the messenger and ignore the message, I will call this Sarkar, where IT stands not for information technology. IT has now begun to stand in this government for identity theft.
राहुल गांधी जी यह कहते हैं कि नमो ऐप के माध्यम से इन सभी डाटाओं को अमेरिका के मित्रों के पास श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी भेज रहे हैं. This is a classic case of technological illiteracy of Mr. Rahul Gandhi. As soon as the Bharatiya Janata Party revealed the truth of the Congress app, which was stealing the data of the people, it was proved by the Bharatiya Janata Party. Immediately thereafter, the Congress party downed its app from the Play Store.
All right, then before we move on, just take a quick check on the SGX Nifty. That's not showing the same enthusiasm that we are seeing in other Asian markets, because that's indicating we're likely to start off with a gain of only around 20-25 points or thereabouts. So just keep an eye out on that front. Remember, yesterday we had a big rally, but the other Asian markets this morning, they've opened up with gains of 0.5%, 1%. In fact, the Nikkei is up more than 1.5% as well. So just keep an eye out on that front. But moving on then, on to some action from the Supreme Court. Now, in a bid to fight pollution, the Supreme Court has proposed a hike in diesel prices for private cars. The top court has also suggested imposing green cess on small as well as medium-sized cars. Remember, the Supreme Court had earlier imposed green cess of around 1% on vehicles with engine capacity of more than 2000 cc. Ashmit Kumar has been tracking all those developments in the court. Joins us with more details. Ashmit, what did the court say?
Well, indeed, Supreme Court was hearing the Delhi air pollution case, and in doing so, clearly turning on the heat as far as diesel is concerned, diesel being one of the more polluting fuels available as far as vehicular pollution is concerned. And now what's interesting is that the apex court, in turning on the heat on diesel, importantly, has asked three key questions of the government. I'll take you through them one by one. First up, EPCA had raised concerns that diesel is a cheaper fuel as compared to petrol, and hence, as a result, its use is incentivized. In response to these concerns, what the apex court has done is that it has asked the question of the government that while diesel hikes for commercial vehicles can be ruled out, can there be a policy considered wherein there's a hike for diesel prices, at least with respect to use by private vehicles? So that's a key policy shift that the Apex Court appears to be mooting at this stage. That was question one. The second question is with respect to the diesel cess, the green cess that has been levied. Keep in mind that under Justice Thakur, the Supreme Court had levied a 1% green cess on diesel vehicles with an engine capacity of greater than 2000 cc. Now, what's interesting is that the question that the Apex Court is now asking of the government is, can there be a similar cess levied on small and medium diesel cars? That's the second question. The third question is with respect to the BS6 rollout. Now, the government has made its position clear that as far as Delhi NCR is concerned, as of 1st April 2018, BS6 fuel will be rolled out. The question that the Apex Court, however, is asking that, as we saw in the case of migration from BS3 to BS4, can we see a similar rollout, not just in Delhi, but across 13 major metros as far as BS6 fuel is concerned? So 3 key questions being asked. The onus now on the government to come back with the answers. Back to you.
Okay, let's see if that cess is going to really be increased to smaller cars as well. Thanks, Ashmit. Moving on now to some stories coming in from the metals and mining arena. In a bid to save coal and mining companies from paying hefty penalties, the government is looking at finalizing a new strategy. If implemented, these norms will protect companies from a lot of the environmental and forest penalties that have been levied on them by the state. Anshu Sharma filed this report.
States like Odisha, Jharkhand had sent penalty notices to Coal India for 40,000 crore rupees and other companies like Steel Authority of India, Tata Steel, amongst other mining companies. Now we understand that the Mines Department is working on a strategy. The first strategy is to float cabinet note for amending MMDR section 21(5), where the government earlier said that any violation inside as well as outside the mining lease will be violation of mining. But now the government wants to amend that to violation of environment as well as forest laws. Just outside the mining lease will be the violation or illegal mining. Now, the second strategy is to send a review petition for the Supreme Court order, which came in August 2017, where the Supreme Court gave an order for penalizing companies which did not follow the environment as well as forest laws within and outside the mining leases. Now, this amendment will come retrospectively, as the government wants to invoke it retrospectively so that these penalties are not levied on the companies which have been sent the penalty notices. We'll have to see how the states will agree to this and how the parliament nod will come. There are also reports that an ordinance will be floated by the government. Sources have refuted these saying that an ordinance route is not desired by the government, as this is a sensitive matter.
All right, then the central government is considering the creation of a special purpose vehicle by NTPC, Power Finance Corporation, as well as Rural Electrification Corporation. Now, the SPV will operate stressed assets in the thermal power space. In exclusive conversation with CNBC TV18's Anshu Sharma, Power Minister Mr. R.K. Singh said that they discussed this idea with the Finance Ministry.
Sir, there's been report that NTPC, PFC and REC will come together for the stress asset. What is the plan and how will it work for stress assets, and how much is the stress asset that we are looking at in first, second and third tranche?
This was a proposal by, not a proposal, an idea by the REC, that the CPSUs, including the REC, PFC, NTPC, etc., can get together and form an SPV, which can then run assets which are complete, which are ready to go, but which are under stress, which have been under stress for whatever reasons. And the quantum which was identified, where the plants are complete and they can be run, is about 25,000 megawatts out of that 34 plants, and 15,000 megawatts in the fresh lot where some signs of incipient stress are there. That will mean about 40,000 megawatts. Now, so this is just an initial proposal. This has to be discussed with the Ministry of Finance and the banking people. And then after that, once it finds resonance, then we'll go ahead with it. And the idea is that they will not take over these assets. The idea is that they will run these assets so as to ensure that these assets are not sold at the prices which are much below much lower than their appropriate true value. So that, there's no distress sale.
All right, on that, Nifty is holding on to gains of about 25, 26 odd points. Let's get you some more stories back home now on Power Breakfast, and this is one from the aviation sector. The finance minister-led group of ministers, more popularly known as the alternate mechanism, met for the second time in the last 5 days yesterday. After the 1 hour-long meeting, aviation secretary said that he's quite confident that the expression of interest for Air India divestment would be made public in 2 weeks. Jayant Sinha, who is the Minister of State for Civil Aviation, has said in the past that the government wants to divest the Maharaja by 2018 end, and the first step, which is issuing the expression of interest, would be taken by June. Nigel?
Well, an official who was also part of the meeting said that the government will be asking the buyer to ensure that the employees are retained for a year as per the divestment rules. Going by the secretary's statement, another meeting is in the offing to finalize the special group's decision on how much the government will retain in the national carrier, among other technical concerns. Okay, then staying with the aviation space, the Civil Aviation Ministry is in favor of allowing Indian airline companies to raise foreign capital. Timsi Jaipuria filed this report with all those exclusive details.
Well, that's right. What I pick up from sources is the fact that Civil Aviation Secretary R.N. Chaubey has written to DA Secretary Subhash Garg seeking a revival of ECB facility for Indian carriers. Chaubey feels that once allowing this facility yet again, which was discontinued from April 2016, will help Indian carriers, especially Air India and Jet Airways, to raise foreign capital in foreign currency and give room to the other domestic players also to do well in the Udan facility. Now, he is explaining that the ECB carve-outs were discontinued from April 2016, and they now want that Indian carriers should be allowed raising ECBs in foreign capital for working capital needs not exceeding $1 billion. Aviation Ministry has also sought revival of ECB for Indian carriers for operating on international routes, and they say that Air India and Jet Airways, which are the worst effective, are unable to raise the necessary ECB in foreign currency, and Indian carriers need the money for capital expenditure. ECB prohibitions are now leading to a deceleration in the aviation industry, and they feel that once this facility is revived, the growth will come back in this sector. So they are urging DEA to allow this facility as soon as possible. Let's see what DEA takes the stand as.
All right, let's move on to some other stories now. Higher taxation on hybrid vehicles after GST is turning out to be a cause of concern for car makers. So much so that Maruti is now deferring its plans to launch its first fully hybrid vehicle. Utkarsh is joining in with more details.
Motown has been waiting for long when it comes to a tax cut on hybrid vehicles, and it was a matter of time before one of them rethinks their strategy. What we are picking up is that Maruti Suzuki has held the plan of its first fully hybrid vehicle, the S-Cross, which was codenamed YGB, and was supposed to be launched in 2019. The RFQs for the same vehicle was floated by the company and has been cancelled, is what we are picking up from multiple sources. Also, the current vehicles which have the micro-hybrid technology like the Ertiga, Ciaz, and also the current model of the S-Cross is also under the radar. Maruti will be relaunching the Ciaz and Ertiga with newer engines later this year and is still contemplating whether to continue the hybrid models in the same or not. The reasons are plain and simple. An increase in the taxes of hybrid vehicles has resulted in slump in sales. And what top management individuals in companies suggest us is that to make money in such high taxation on hybrid vehicles is not possible. But automakers, however, are still hopeful and have been raising concerns to the government, which till now has not resulted in anything concrete. Until then, you can expect more car makers to put their hybrid plans on the back burner. With that, it's back to you.
All right then, Bandhan Bank lists on the exchanges today Abhishek's with us in the studio to take us through all those details. Hey Abhishek, good morning.
Good morning, Nigel. The issue was well subscribed. If you look at the overall subscription was at 14.6x. Just to highlight what was the issue about, the IPO details, the price was at 375 rupees per share. The equity offered was about 12 crore shares, which represent about 9% equity dilution. So the promoter's stake will come down to 82.3% from 89.6%. Offer size was about 4,474 crore and expected market cap at the issue price was close to 44,730 crores. Look at the subscription detail. While the overall subscription was at 14.6x, the QIB portion was the most interesting one, wherein bids came in about 39x of the offer that they intended to give. So HNI was at 14 times subscribed, while retail was subscribed 1.2x. Let's look at the listing scenario. So while the issue price was 375, between 325 to 450 is what I've kept the issue listing scenario, and therein the valuations can be between 3.6 to 5 price to book value on FY19. The grey market premium, what I'm hearing, is about 10% of the issue price. Let's look at the loan mix, largely into microfinance, while they are expanding their portfolio into SME and retail right now. Look at the peer comparison. The best part about Bandhan is that 95% of the deposits, 95% of the borrowings are from deposits. And if you look at the valuation comparison, it's on the healthier side. While the listing can be a huge plus point, you can see a rub-off effect on the peers like Equitas or Ujjivan today.
Okay, some 4 times price to book, right, as per the data that Abhishek gave us. All right, that's one issue that was very well received. Abhishek, good morning. Then there was another one which didn't have such great luck, right? ICICI Securities. What's happened there?
Good morning, Surbhi. As we have pointed out, this issue was actually priced in at a higher end. And as many guests have also told us on air that 40x plus is kind of the P that ICICI Securities wanted to command in their listing. So ICICI Securities, the overall subscription was at 88%. Now this includes the anchor investors also. So they have now downsized their IPO to about 3,520 crore from about 4,017 crore. So if you look at the subscription detail, while the overall subscription was at 78%, the QIB portion was at 104%, HNI, which was the lowest, at 0.36x, while retail was at 88%. Shareholders of ICICI Bank also subscribed only to 34% of the equity in offering. So expect a tad bit of red on ICICI Bank today.
Okay, all right, thanks. Well, let's get in Manisha Gupta early this morning as always, and she's going to give us a quick update on what's going on in the commodity space. Hey Manisha, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Nigel, and thank you for that. Well, starting with the currency, and because that seems to be playing a very important role for all of those asset classes, you have the dollar index yet again trading at a 5-week lows. There, of course, is some ease in trade tension wars as US and China are looking at negotiations on the import tariff. So that has eased the markets a bit, and you have seen the risk appetite come back. So you have the high-yielding currencies actually doing well rather than the Japanese yen and US dollar as we see it in Asia right now. The crude prices, in the meanwhile, are off those 7-week highs, still trading in the positive, still holding around that $70 per barrel mark, but we are trading off the kind of highs that we saw on Friday and yesterday. Well, the markets, of course, are looking at the U.S. inventory buildup, where there's an expectation that we might see an increase in inventories for this week. Remember, we have seen a decline in inventories in the last 3 weeks, and that has been supportive. So that perhaps could be changing right now. But the longer-term view still seems to be bullish, as the markets are looking at the Saudi Arabia and Iran tensions. There have been missiles that have been fired on that one in the last 2 to 3 days. So that the geopolitical premium continues to be built up on the prices. One word on the metal space, and there is some buying that has finally returned after 3 weeks of decline in this space. So Shanghai, when you look at the metals, are trading in the positive, while most of them have turned negative for the month of March and for the year 2018 as well. Today seems to be a day where there is some opportunity buying. So whether you look at zinc or copper or steel, there is a 0.5% to perhaps 0.7% of a gain that you have seen across board.
Okay. All right, Manisha, thank you very much for that. So that's all the commodities action. And now let's get to futures and options. Given the way the market rallied yesterday and the fact that we've got pretty solid cues this morning, what to expect? Let's ask Manglam. Good morning, Manglam.
Good morning, Surbhi. So I'll start with the cash market data primarily because remember yesterday was the last trading day for delivery-based purchases in FY18, and it's just poetic that the domestic institutional investors bought 2,018 crores in the cash market exactly. But the FI has no such poetry there. They sold into the rally, 741 crore worth sale in the cash market. 2,015 crore worth sale coming in index futures as well, where they unwound about 9,500 longs, added close to 16,000 shorts. A large part of that is also on account of the rollovers. But remember, the FII long exposure in index futures now stands at a record low of 33% versus a record low yesterday of 37% as well. So the March to April rollovers so far have picked up 41% versus the 3-month average of close to 35%. So that is one data point I'll be watching out for. In index options, there was a purchase of close to 744 crore rupees, and there too we saw some protection buying. The FIs added close to 8,300 long puts. A couple of stocks I'll be watching out for. JP Associate, that one enters the band after exiting band yesterday, and out of band we have HDIL and IDBI. In terms of active options, the 10,000 mark is very important because the 10,000 put writers, the bulls believe that this is one mark we can protect going into expiry. So close to 9.5 lakh shares added out there, while the call writers had to shed some of their positions, close to around 14 lakh shares, given the force of the rally that we saw yesterday. The 10,000 put too added close to around 8 lakh shares. So maybe some can believe that the 10,050 mark will also hold, while the 10,100 call shed some open interest. So together, from the combined premium on the 10,000 put, 10,000 call, as well as the 10,001 put and call, looks like maybe around the 10,200 mark could be a bit of a problem, as against the 10,000 mark, that would be a bit of a support.